Right. Hello then. Hello everybody, and welcome to This Is Why We Dig. I'm Andrew, and I'm joined as usual by Jonathan.
Good evening, everyone.
Right. So we've got a fantastic show for you today, covering some very important and very interesting points. So if you've got any questions, you can leave them for a bit.
How about halfway through the
Yeah.
halfway to the end?
Certainly once we've finished all the photos, we can start answering them periodically, break them up a bit. So the usual question: what have you done in the garden?
What have I been doing? I have been since last we've been speaking. I've planted endimes. I've planted. I haven't been planting anything apart from pricking out. I've been pricking out lots of things. Mind you, I say that I haven't been planting anything. I've been planting other things in other people's gardens, mainly vegetables. But at home, I've been pricking out. So I've been picking out cauliflowers, broccolis, the Aztec, the two different broccolis that I've got. And I have planted out my beans a fortnight ago, my cannelloni beans. So they've been out now near enough a fortnight. I've also got my Lascaria. That's out. We have had a few frosts, but they seem to have been bearing through it. They seem to be all right.
That's good.
So yeah, we've been lucky. We're at about just 1+. And it sort of fluctuates between above and below on that kilter all the time. But now we're coming up to the 7th. We should be fine. We should have no. I touch wood, someone. We shouldn't have any more frosts. So we can start getting all that rest of the other bits and pieces into the ground. I'm dying to get my runner beans in, and I'm dying to get my sweet corn in. My greenhouse is looking like a jungle, and I was like, I got no room.
Yeah, I haven't been able to harden off my tomatoes because of all the erratic weather. I noticed when we were watering them today that the roots are just starting to pop out of the bottom, so they'll need planting up.
Yeah, that's the thing. As soon as we start getting that bit of warmth in the daytime, but the nights are still cold, and you're struggling to sort of find a nice even balance between them going like the clappers, growing out of their pots, and running out of space to put them as well at the same point. You think, oh, I've got nowhere to put them, and keep moving them around. Because now I've got, I have, I think off the top of my head, I have 18 tomato plants now.
Flipping heck. We've got the space for them.
No, not at the moment. Not really. No.
You over-egged it.
A little bit, but no. See these. So I had three varieties. That one was given to me by a gentleman I work for, so I grew those, and two other ones I've bought from the Real Seed Company. And then I went to a lady's house to look at her job, and she gave me a whole tray full of these tomatoes, and I was like, well, I think I gave about 8 of them away the other night at one of our meetings. So I was like, I said, just take them, please take them. I've got no space for them. So I've been sort of, and soon the chap that I work for will be giving me some more tomatoes, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna be so tomatoed out. But it's all good. It won't go to waste. It will be either grown for myself, or grown here, or grown on an allotment. And if I don't eat them, or store them up, or do something with them, they'll be going to other people.
Yeah, that's always the best way. Spread them out, then we can all start to if we can all get self-sufficient in tomatoes, that's a step in the
Well,
right direction.
it is. I'm gonna be plenty fine till next summer for tomato sauces during the winter.
You want to get a canning machine if you haven't already got one, and
Well, that's a
start
good
doing chopped
idea.
tomatoes.
Yeah, but I don't know how much one of those would be. A few £100. But if the electric goes out, how am I going to work it? I'm going to have to get some hamsters, I think.
Yeah, I have never actually looked into. I'm sure you can get a hand crank or something.
Go back to the old-fashioned way of doing it by hand.
Yeah. Nail the lid on.
Yeah. Well, I've got pots of super glue. I could use that.
Yeah. Well, I've pricked out my. Before I get onto mine, there's this photo that we.
Yeah, this one we tampered with for ages trying to get.
Yeah.
These are the endines.
5 minutes before the stream. Can you recrop it?
I didn't want half of my floor and my table mats in the picture. It's like it was a bit of a mad quick photo last night, and I thought better send it to Andy before I go to bed. And it was a quick shot, and when he brought it up earlier, I was like, look, you can't have that or that on there. Got to crop it down. Look.
So yeah, what do you say they were? Endives.
And I call them endines. We're the American term for them. They're like they're very loose-headed, like a lettuce, but they're very loose-headed. But they've got so many nutrients. We're going to cover those, aren't we, this evening?
Yep.
We've got those down on the list. Yeah, we're covering those this evening. But yeah. The nutrients value on those are much better than what you'd get on a normal lettuce. Any other lettuces. They are curly, slightly. But yeah, with your normal lettuce, you don't get half the nutrients. It's just water and a few trace elements in lettuces. But these have got so much more. And we'll cover those later.
Yeah, the blend that I've got, it's meant to be a crispy lettuce. it's a bit floppy.
Well, I've told you what to do with that.
Well, I've pricked out my peppermint. So I've got more peppermint than I can handle at the moment. There's 16 there. Although one of them's got a bit mouldy because of a bit of water in error, so I'll have to get rid of that one.
Yeah, it's that's the thing. You've got to get that water imbalance quite right, and otherwise you can either rot the roots or cause untold different things.
Yeah, Will, I want to do peppermint tea. That's something I definitely want to do. I think I'll have a lot of peppermint tea with all that lot.
Well, just think of in the summer. Look, think of those hot, long summer days that we may get. I say we may get. Endless peppermint tea there. Look,
Yeah.
and also you could do. Think of the Pims. You could have loads of Pims with that in as well. That's quite nice at the time. Yeah.
And as well as that, my prairie fire chilies, I've potted them up. They were starting to need it. The roots were starting to pop out of the bottom. So yeah, we'll see how they go. They're looking all
They
right.
look really healthy. They're really healthy. They're better than my. I've got just normal peppers, and they look really healthy compared to mine. And I think we roughly started them at the same time, didn't we, Andrew?
I think so. But in addition to that, I've just been messing around with microgreens. Tried some coriander in the seed sprouter. That's the one without the soil, and I had to throw them away. That didn't work. So next time I'll try them with soil. And I've harvested some chard, That got a bit leggy though. Again, I should have put that on windowsill. And got some mustard microgreens going at the moment. And they seem to be doing all right. They're growing quite fast.
Are they F1 varieties or are they
No,
just
no,
straightforward?
yeah, just straightforward ones.
Cool.
So we've got quite a lot of photos from viewers here. So we'll start off with Daffyd. We've got some early potatoes.
Oh, nice, Daffyd. What variety are you on? So you are on. What variety are they, Daffyd? Do you know? Or do you know, Andrew?
I'll have a look.
Does it say?
Spring early potatoes.
Ah. Be nice to know what they are.
Well, he's also got some raspberries as well.
Oh, he's forgotten the variety. Well, that's not very good, is it?
Various.
Oh. What were these raspberries, weren't they?
Yeah, raspberries.
Oh, nice. Weren't they some that you found, Daffyd? Wild ones growing? Yes. Yeah, you've got to keep the labels for it. You must. But if they're wild ones, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
That'd be
so
really
they are wild ones.
They're the smaller fruits, much more taste, much more compact taste in them. Same difference with wild strawberries and your cultivars. So you like your wild strawberries, if you pick them, and they've intense taste, and the wild raspberries are the same. It's got that intense raspberry taste. It's lovely.
Well, moving on, we've got some from William NS. Now he put tons on the Discord. It looked absolutely fantastic. So we've just picked 4 of them.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff there.
They look like tomatoes. Do you think
They do. I think they are. I think you're right there. Yeah, yeah. Of course, he is in America, and I think he's Southern American, isn't he? If remembering rightly, Andrew, is he South America? Not South America, but South USA. Then
I'm not so sure, to be honest.
I think that's what he said. I can't remember what he said exactly, but of course, their season's much further ahead of us. So, oh, look at that lettuce.
Then
Some more lettuce. I'm not sure what varieties they are, but yeah, this chap has got a lot of garden.
yeah.
He shared a lot with us on Discord.
And then we've got some from Boudica to finish up. So we've got some apple blossom.
Oh, lovely.
Got some potatoes in a bucket.
Cool.
Cabbage seeds.
Yeah, it'd be nice to, so you can save your seed for the following year. Look, this is what we all ought to be doing.
Yeah, we'll be going into that a bit later. We've got some carrots going to seed.
And a gnome.
And a gnome. Got some chives.
Yes, there we go. Look, you can see the flower heads starting to appear on the chive. Like I think I've told you all before, don't let them seed because they go rampant across the garden. You'll never get rid of them. They'll be everywhere in your grass, everywhere. But what I will tell you, what you can do is when they open up and you've got the purple flower, if you cut them down about an inch underneath the flower, then make up some batter like you would for fish or something else. Dip them in the batter. Make sure your oil is really hot. Throw them in there. whip them back out really quite quickly. So as soon as you just see them crisping up, take them out. Let them cool and try them. They're lovely. You can also do that with pumpkin and squash flowers as well. That's another thing to do with those. That's very nice.
And then finally, we've got a progress report on that massive bucket full of various things. So we've got red Russian kale, peas, and carrots in that pot.
Wow. Yeah, my kale's only just come up. About an inch out of the pot now. Mine are a dwarf variety. I've only got a dwarf variety.
Right. So thanks for everyone who sent them in.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And if anybody else has got anything they're doing, please put it on Discord so we can see.
Right. So the first topic we're going to be covering is survival planting. So as we've talked about before, with the possibility of food shortages, the real possibility, I think it's really important to start thinking about the sorts of plants that we can start to grow that we need to prioritize for survival. And the factors that we need to be looking at are when it comes to assessing what to grow are things like the caloric and nutrient, how caloric and nutrient dense they are, how easy they are to grow, and how easily they can be stored. Very important, especially when you've not got a lot of space.
Yeah,
So
you want to maximise it on the space with what you're growing.
Yeah. So we've picked 5 different types of plants that we think that you should be considering growing. So the first one, which we'll go into a bit more detail a bit later, is squashes. Squashes are high in calories and nutrients, but the seeds can easily be saved, which is another thing that's very important. Or they can be eaten because they've got very high fat content. With winter squashes, they can be stored for up to 6 months. However, the summer squashes don't store as well.
They don't store as well. But one trick everybody should learn is to leave them in the hot sun and let the skins harden off. If the skins harden off, they will keep for far longer. You can get some squash. I mean, like butternut squash. If you let that actually harden off in the sun for like a week or two, it's perfect. It will last you. Well, it should last you to the following spring.
They make good soup, Fox says.
They do. And good pies. And good everything else as well.
Well, the one downside to growing squashes is that they do require quite a bit of space to grow.
Yeah, they do. But the one thing you can do with a squash, which is, and you can do it with pumpkins. You can't do it with the very large pumpkins, obviously, but with the smaller setted pumpkins and squashes, you can actually grow them up canes like you would with runner beans or something like that. They will scrabble up, but what you'll need to do is when they start forming a fruit, which is the size of an apple, either get a pair of old tights or stockings or a very long sock, put it over the fruit, and then tie it to the actual cane that you're growing it on, or whatever the thing you're actually growing it on. That will support it and will help it develop into a large fruit before ready for when you want to pick it. If you don't, it becomes so heavy on the fruit, which will tear off the plant and obviously cause problems for a plant.
Well, the second one, potatoes. Now, we've covered potatoes in a lot more depth than the previous one, so you can go and listen to that if you've missed it. But the potatoes are another vegetable that is very high in calories and nutrients, and they can be stored for up to several months if you do it right.
Mm. Mm.
And one of the good things that we have covered before is they can be grown in a wide variety of methods to suit your available space.
Yeah.
Which
Sorry. Go on. Sorry. Andrew,
I was going to say, like Boudicca's showed today with the potatoes in a bucket.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, I've done that. The only one I haven't done, people, sorry, and I should do it, and I will get round to doing it for next stream. I promise. I meant to do it for this one. Is the box version. So I've done the buckets, I've done the tires method, I've done it in the ground. I haven't covered the bucket one, the box one, because I know that's going to be a bit of a disaster. But I will try it and see how we'll see how it goes, because it's an experiment.
Yeah, and the next one is going to be beans. So beans come in either bush or pole varieties, and they can also be grown in lots of different ways, which will help maximise that space that you've got. They're very, very versatile to cook with as well. They can be used in pretty much everything, really. So that's always a massive positive when it comes to this, and they can be stored for years when canned.
Yeah, and you can store them. You can also store them once they're dried. If with all beans, if you let you're harvesting through the year or through the season, I should say. Let some go to seed. Let them mature. Either save. Obviously, I prefer to save a few for the following year. But what you can do is just basically let them dry out, and you can put them put them into fridge and keep them in the fridge once they've dried right out, because they're perfect to store. They're stored for a long, long time. As long as they don't get damp and warm, they'll start germinating. But if you keep them dry and cool, you can keep them for a long, long, long time.
Oh, just before we continue with beans, I'd just like to say thank you to See Here Speaks for the Ninjaghini. That's on D Live for everyone on YouTube. So yeah, thanks for that.
Thank you, mate.
Right, so with beans, yep, they're full of protein and other nutrients. So that's one of the big reasons why you want to be growing them. And as you can imagine, very easy to save the beans to grow next year's plants.
Yeah, very, very easy. Very easy. Beans are one of the most easiest, and peas are very, very, very easy to keep for the following year.
Yep, and then peas. Yep, peas are the next one. Again, rich in nutrients. Like beans, they can be stored for a long time, and they're very easy to peas to grow more pea plants. And obviously, one of the good things about saving all the seeds is that you can start a seed circle going along in your neighbourhood, in your local area, swapping them all, so you can be stronger as a community. Which we'll definitely need.
We will need this in the future, and we talk about the future. It is literally we're very, very, very close to the food shortages. Very, very close. I know we covered on the last stream, and I said about the rapeseed fields. Now, I did a bit of digging and a bit of research, and the rapeseed fields are 2019 down by 17%, 2020 down by 38%, and by the look of the fields at the moment, I'm only just seeing the rapeseed come through now, and there's hardly any rapeseed fields. So I reckon we'll be down by 50% this year. That's just rapeseed, so I don't know about anything else. I don't know what our corn's going to be like. I don't know what the other products that we grow in this country is going to be like. So the pressure is actually on.
Well, to lighten the mood a bit, Johnny Not Powell, what do you call a potato who posts videos online? A YouTuber.
Mm.
So for the fifth one, carrots. So carrots, rich in nutrients again, very important, and both the root and the leaves can be eaten. So you can be minimising the wastage. They can be grown in large pots as well as raised beds and in the ground. And they can be sown in 2 periods per year, between mid-March and the end of June, and between mid-June and mid-October. And that'll help provide food for most of the year. Now, to save the seeds on them, you've got to let them grow a lot bigger. So they're not as easy. You'll have to plan ahead and leave some in.
Yeah.
But, have you saved any carrot seeds before?
I have. Yeah, I have in previous years. Yeah. But because they're a biannual, so they're classed as a biannual. So if you grew them this year, it wouldn't be till the following. Say if you started growing them now, they'd go through the winter, and it wouldn't be till the spring and early summer where they're bolt, and that's when you'll collect the seed. Just about June, July, roughly, is UK time. UK weather patterns would be about the right time to be collecting your carrot seed.
Yeah. Old Mother Earth has said that the rapeseed is high as an elephant's eye here in Shropshire.
Wow, lucky you. We've got hardly any down here. We're normally fields and fields and fields of this stuff.
Johnny Powell says, I was watching Harry's Farm on YouTube. He said that frost has killed 80% of his crop.
Yeah,
Awful.
yeah, it's awful. We're seeing, in my area, we're seeing resowing of fields already, crop failures and resowing of fields. It's very, very sparse on the ground here.
So, with those 5 plants, you need some strategies. So, survival planting strategies, they're all about maximizing the space and yield, as well as minimizing waste and being as self-sufficient as possible. So, the first strategy we're going to talk about is staggering planting. So, if you'd like to take that away, Jonathan.
Yeah, so with staggering planting, you'll need to say just say take the carrots for instance. So if it's a bit like the early potatoes. So you'll start some off at the beginning of sort of spring, and then by the time you get to late spring, early summer, you're thinking about putting the next batch in, and so on and so forth. So you'll go on, then you can go into October and start putting the next lot in for your winter and spring crop. So you can sort of space it out over the year, and you can do that with cauliflowers, broccolis, and so on and so forth. And they're all biannuals. All those are all biannual. So you'll plant them this year, and they'll grow. And if you leave them, they will set seed the following spring, hopefully. But if it's also timing as well, because we're so late in the UK, our spring has been a dry. Early part of the spring has been such a dry early part of the spring. Things haven't been. You couldn't quite plan it out like you could normal years. But it's still easy to do. It's still easy to do. You still have batches of different things, but it's easier to do a smaller batch of things, and then let those grow. And then as they've come on and they're mature and they're ready, or half mature, you're setting the next seed for the following, for a continuation of, just say, carrots or cauliflowers, broccolis, swede, And yes, onions you can do, garlic you can do as well, broad beans you can do those at the end of the year, so you've got them early in the spring. A gentleman that I work for, his broad beans are up now and flowering. Mine in the allotment are only about 6 inches to 8 inches tall, and his are already like a foot or more up and flowering and setting their seeds. So you can see with a lot of the winter crops, you can let them go over to the following year, or you can plant them late in this year for the spring, early spring, and that side of the next following year.
Boudica brings up an interesting point. I have a hard time with succession planting. I just want to fill the garden.
I know what you mean. You get a blank spot and you think, oh, I've got to grow something quickly to put in that spot. But so you can grow like radishes and things like that, because they're frost hardy. So you can get, like, for radishes, you can literally grow them at the end or mid spring, even when there is a frost, and grow them right the way through to November, December. So you can get long seasons with radishes and things like that. And if you've got that spare bit of land, that spare bit of soil there, chuck some radish in there. If it's cold.
Well, the next one is going to be raised beds. So, Jonathan, what's the advantage of a raised bed versus just plonking them in the ground?
Two ones to it, because if you've got the raised bed, that means that the soil is lifted up, and you can manage it much easier. You're not bending over. It's easier to turn, and also, especially with carrots. Now, everybody knows about the carrot fly. The carrot fly will fly at I think it's 6 inches from the ground, and if you've got a raised bed, they don't hit the carrots in your raised bed, because they're only at a certain level and they won't go up onto or into your raised bed. And with a raised bed as well, so if you're growing like cabbages and things like that, you can pin them in easier. You can pin your netting over the top, stop the butterflies from getting in there and laying their eggs. And also it's easier when you do a double dig, because you can turn over, you start at one end and go down into the ground, and then turn it over and fill back in with your compost or your manure or whatever, and then turn it back over and keep going like that. And it's much easier to have a raised bed.
So it's definitely something that is worth considering.
It is.
And companion planting, going back to the carrot fly, I know that carrots are something you definitely want to be companion planting with.
Yeah. Companion planting with, so garlic, onions, marigold, which is not your French marigold, your French marigold, not your African marigold, because you don't want to eat the African marigold, it's poisonous. You can use mint. You can use. There's depending on what you're growing, is depending on what you want to grow next to it. Say, just for instance, it was the carrots. So we'll take carrots. Onions and garlic is a great thing for that.
What about chives?
Chives, yeah, but like we've discussed about chives, that go on the rampage. They're great. I love chive, but sorry.
I was going to say, by companion planting like that, you're masking the smell of the carrots.
Yeah. But if with carrot, we seem to be concentrating on carrot a lot here. With carrots now, the art with carrots, everybody goes, oh, just trace a line in there and just chuck them all in. No, don't do that. When you do your line, when you're casting your seed, do it sparingly. Honestly, do it sparingly, and then you're not going to pull the little carrots out from each other that you don't want. Because when you do that, you're breaking that carrot root, which makes the carrot fly. It can smell that from miles away, and it will just come and it will attack all of your carrots. So if you do it sparingly, you're not picking out all the unnecessary ones you don't want.
Cyborg has asked, masking the smell of carrots with chives.
Yeah, you can. My only issues with chive is that when they go to seed, if you don't catch that seed head, they will cast and they will be everywhere, and you'll be forever going, "Oh no, what did I do this for?"
So the next one, composting and mulching. So with the composting, having a compost heap is a really good idea. All those kitchen scraps which would have otherwise been thrown in the bin, whack them in the composting heap. Something that you really need for that self-sufficiency.
Yeah. Now, only for you gentlemen. It's no good, you ladies. Only for you gentlemen. When you actually have a compost heap, gentlemen, pee in it. It's a great activator. I know, but it is. It's a great activator for your compost heap, and this is where a lot of people go wrong with compost heaps. You make a compost heap. You need that reactor in your compost heap, otherwise it becomes quite gooey and slushy, sort of horrible sort of compost that you don't really want to use. It's like gooey, horrible, nasty stuff. If you use you can get reactors, organic reactors for it. One of the best ones is you can make this yourself. It's very, very easy to make. Get yourself milk and then add a drop of lemon in it so it starts to separate. Leave it for a couple of days to separate. And the liquid at the bottom, so you'll get basically cottage cheese on the top and liquid on the bottom. You only want the liquid, so you can make cottage cheese with it if you want to. Get some chives, chuck it in there. There you go. But the liquid at the bottom is a great reactor for your compost heap. It's fantastic. It will help you turn over a compost heap in a matter of 4 months. You can be able to reuse what you've put in there very, very quickly.
Johnny, not Powell, I said, I used to make loads of money clearing leaves from gardens. I was raking it in. So with a compost heap and the compost you get out of it, you can then use that as mulching. So do you want to talk about mulching?
Mulching, you want to do that. We're a bit late to do mulching now. You still can do it, but most things are up and out the ground. With mulching, it's always worth better. It's better to put, if you're going to do an area, it's better to do it by like an inch, 2 inches coverage, the whole area, than it is to use it sparingly and trying to cover the whole of your land. Because if you're going to do mulching, you really want to do it and blanket whatever you're doing. And if you use it sparingly, you're going to still have the weeds and other things come through, and you're not going to get the the good nutrients that you want into the ground. If you haven't got enough, and we all struggle with not making enough in our gardens to cover all of the things that we need to cover, buy it in, but always buy it in an organic level, if it's possible.
So seed saving. We as we've talked about previously with the whole World Economic Forum and the UN Agenda 2030, they're really wanting to have everyone dependent on them, and that means stopping people from buying seeds. All the seeds that will be available, if any, will be GMO, which you don't want any of that.
No, you don't.
So seed saving is definitely something we need to be getting into.
Well, there was a report the other week. I don't know if I put it onto Discord, but Bill Gates is now buying up all the seed companies across the world.
Really?
Yes, he's buying them up left, right, and centre, which doesn't sound very good for us.
No, so make sure you've got all your seeds and you're starting to learn how to save the seeds this year.
There will still be independent small seed companies, but they will eventually try to push them out. And the problem is as well, I don't know if anybody's aware of this, is that if you've got a GM corn next to your organically grown corn, and then they cross-pollinate, and when they cross-pollinate, you're ending up with a hybrid, or mainly a GM crop at the other side of this. So you think you've got an organic corn for the following year that you've saved, and it turns out to be GM, and that's the threat that we're under.
I have heard that because the GMO seeds, they're all patented. I've heard that if that happens, the GMO companies can actually sue the person who's unfortunately had this cross-pollination against their will.
Yes, yeah, you're right. You are right. Yeah. There has been a few lawsuits. I think it's mainly US, and it's not turned out very well for them.
So, and finally, permaculture. Now, this is something I've only recently come across, but it's I find it fascinating. So, you want to go into that?
Yeah, I'll let you go into that one.
Oh, well, my understanding of permaculture is it's using lots of different systems together, trying to make things as sustainable as possible. So, like aquaponics is one example of that, where you can use, for example, the duck manure to feed I think they feed the fish with it, and then the water gets pumped into where the plants are, and the plants grow from all of that.
Yeah, it's basically building. Yeah, it's basically building a mini ecosystem.
Daffy has said, "Love the permaculture ethos. I'm a messy, lazy gardener."
Nothing wrong with that.
So we'll take some questions from the chat if anyone's got some, before I get into squashers.
Anybody got any questions? And this is where the chat goes quiet.
Caught them by surprise. Rudica says we'll need to start a seed swap.
We do. And you must encourage your your neighbours to grow. If you're growing something and you've got spares, pass it over to your neighbour and see if they can do it to their neighbour, and so on and so forth. In my street, I've encouraged at least 6 people now to start growing their own stuff. So that's a good start. It's a good start. I haven't gone right round the corner and right round the other corner yet, but I'm working on it.
Johnny Nutpowell, question: is ash good for soil?
Yes, it is. It is very good. It's what they class as potash. So you use it sparingly, but yes, it is very good. It's good for potatoes.
Jordan has asked, for the past few years, my grapes have developed black rot. What can I do?
Oh, black rot. That is because you're not cutting back the leaves. When you've got the fruit developing, you'll need to cut the leaves back so the air gets to them. You can spray them with basically like a washing up liquid substance, but it's mainly to do with air circulation. And with a lot of these, when you're growing these vines, they produce lots and lots and lots and lots of leaves. And as the grapes develop, and you've got a fair hefty amount of them on a single stem, cut the leaves back away, so let the sunlight in, let the air in, and then you shouldn't have that. It shouldn't come, and you shouldn't need to spray them.
So Daffy has said, put a question on Discord. Best free cuttings.
Best free cuttings.
Free cuttings.
Any any cuttings are free. If it's free, it's good. The best ones to get. Ooh.
Just a bit more here. Any advice on the best things that is easy to grow from cuttings at the moment?
At the moment, yes. Peppermint. Mallow, if you know what a mallow tree is. Lavateria. You can get cuttings from those. Any other hard woody, like rosemary, elderberry. This is the best time because things are growing. This is the best time to do a cutting, and always remember to take the centre out and leave 2 leaves if you're doing a cutting. Use a organic hormone rooting powder, and you should be fine. If you can, put a piece of cling film over the top with a rubber band around it and hold it so it keeps the moisture in, so they don't dry out so quick. And don't put it in direct sunlight. Put it in partial shaded sunlight. That should be a success. But you can do it with mostly anything. Obviously not with cauliflower, broccoli, and all those sorts of things. But you can, if you're careful, if you're clever enough. Mine failed this year. Is take a Brussels sprout, like from your Christmas dinner or whatever, that's not cooked, and you can actually grow them, and they will set seed as well. So these little, they look like little cabbages, and then they turn open up into like a little cabbage, and then you'll get a seed head that will grow out of it, and then you can save the seed from that.
Zach asked, my strawberries have germinated but not progressing much. Any advice?
Yes. Hang on. I decided to go through the door. Right, yes. Run that past me again. Right. My strawberries have germinated. Yeah, it might be due to sunlight or the soil conditions you've got it in. Are you on Discord with us? If you are, check a couple of pictures and see if I can narrow it down for you.
Boudica says that she's planted the dill that she received from her neighbours last summer.
Oh, lovely! I love dill. I've got dill here, which I haven't done, and I keep thinking I've got that. I must do it. I must do it. I must do it. I haven't got round to doing it yet. Got too many other things going on. But yeah, dill's lovely.
Cockney nut job. Is it a good idea to not grow anything for 1 year and give your soil a break?
Yeah, it is to let your soil go fallow. Yeah, that's not a bad thing to do. But the only thing is that under the pressure that we certainly going to be under, it might not be advisable.
Xanth follow up to his question. They are indoors, getting too much sun.
It could be. It could be that. It could be that. Because you've got to remember they're a woodland edge plant. So, did you say they were wild? I can't remember if he said they were wild or if they were. Can you have a look? Can you go back in through the chat? I can't see.
It just says strawberries.
I just said strawberries. Yeah. It could be that. It could be that. It could be you might want to give him a little bit of organic feed just to perk them up and let them get going. If you're out of a frost area, stick them outside. Stick them somewhere that's semi-sheltered.
Right. So with that, we'll get on to squashes. So both summer and winter squashes are annuals and should be sown now in May. Both types should be planted out after they have their first 3 sets of true leaves, and plant them in a sunny but sheltered site in soil that is moisture retentive, humus rich with good drainage. So humus, for those who don't know, is biological matter that's in an advanced state of decay.
Yeah.
So summer squashes, and that includes courgettes and marrows, they'll be ready to harvest between July and August. But as we've previously said, they don't store very well.
No.
But courgettes and marrows are good for heart health, they support an efficient metabolism, reduces your risk of heart attacks and strokes, as well as having both diuretic and laxative properties.
So don't eat too many of them then.
Now, winter squashes, and this includes pumpkins, they'll be ready to be harvested in October, and as we've said, very good for storage. They require about 3 to 4 months of warm weather after they've been planted in order to mature. And with winter squashes, they are both anti-inflammatory and an antioxidant. They're filled with nutrients which promote heart health. The fiber content helps with bowel health, and they're good to eat while pregnant as they're due to their folate content. So very good things to start growing.
Yeah, pick up Boudica's comment.
Vine, this one?
Yeah.
So my vine plants have suffered from powdery mildew the last few years.
That's because of the watering, rainwater splashing back up off the ground, causing that too much damp around it. It's inevitable. You can't really stop it unless you're going to use nasty chemicals all over it, which you don't really want to. It's not good for you. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for the food that you're going to eat. But yeah, it's down to the water and rain and like a humidity builds up and these things grow on your leaves. You can't help it. I get it all the time.
So before we move on past the squashes, have you got anything else to add? Have you got any interesting squashes that you've grown?
No, no, I haven't got anything. No, no is to that. No, no, no. I haven't. I have grown some unusual ones before in the past, but that's a long time in the past. One of the ones I did grow, which it looks like a pumpkin, but it's a summer squash, which is called onion pumpkin, an onion squash. Sorry, so it's very orange and it does grow like an onion. So it's got that sort of bulbous base and then comes up a bit, sort of a bit looking similar to. There you go.
Like that?
That's the ones. Yeah. So they look a bit like an onion to look at, but they are lovely. Ever so nice. And very, very easy to grow. And very prolific fruiting. Very, very prolific. Off one vine, you could probably get about 6 or 7. So it's very, very good to have around.
What about chat? Have you been growing any squashes? Be interesting to hear.
Good, Boudico. No chemicals for me. Good for you.
Oh, Cockney Newt job. White cabbage with sea salt crushed and put into a jar for 7 days. Perfect crispy fermented sauerkraut. Cook friendly, so simple.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, it's very simple and it stores for a long time. Very easy to make.
So we'll move on to the herbs then. So the first herb that we've chosen is endive. So the endive is an annual, and there are 2 different types. There's ones with large, broad leaves, which are used for winter, and curly leaves, which are used for summer. They do best grown in light, free draining soil, which is kept moist, as they can bolt if the soil is too dry. Endive's a great source of fibre, which helps your digestive system, as well as being rich in antioxidants. They're also good for bone health due to the vitamin K content.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why I'm growing them this year instead of just a normal lettuce. I've got the open-headed variety, which I got from the Real Seed Company. I've never grown them before, and I thought I'll just try them just on the off chance to see what they're going to be like. And so far, they look alright. They look really quite cool. But hopefully, I don't. They won't bolt this year, and I keep up with the water regime because I don't want them to bolt.
Xanth, are you asking how we spell endive? Endive.
Endines. I call them endines. It's only because I've heard Americans call it, and it's not really a British thing. It's more of an American thing.
I'll put it in the chat. Daffy says curly endive do best with bacon in a salad Larson.
Sounds good. I might try that one then.
Jordan wants me to show a picture of it.
Okay.
So there you go.
It looks very similar to a chicory as well. But my one is the very loose. There's mine. It's the loose-headed one, Looks more like
This one.
it's at the bottom. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4 in. That one. That's it. Yeah, mine's like that. Yeah, very much like a dandelion to look at.
So the next herb, which we've touched on today, dill. Dill is an annual which needs to be grown in place rather than transplanted. It needs soil that is kept moist and may need to be spotted with canes if your location is particularly windy. Dill is a powerful diuretic and antibacterial, and it can have calming anti-inflammatory effects on the digestive system. So I'll pull a picture of that up. There you go. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's nice stuff. If you've ever had your pickles, like your onions and your gherkins, this is the herb that they always put into the bottom. It's mainly your gherkins, but it's a very nice herb to use. Very fragrant, much nicer than fennel to eat.
So marjoram is the next one. So marjoram is a perennial which needs a sunny spot with well-drained soil to thrive. It has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. However, it's best to avoid using it while pregnant or breastfeeding because of some of the chemicals in it.
Are you going to bring a picture up?
Yep.
Because it might go, that doesn't look like what I've grown. That's it, yeah. And they are quite hardy as well. They are quite a hardy plant. If you're lucky, you can get them to go to the following year. Or you should be able to. Fennel is gross, Boudica says. Yeah, fennel is a bit gross. If you don't like aniseed, you won't like fennel.
So the next one is a marigold. So it's an edible annual flower that needs to be grown in well-drained soil and in full sun. And marigolds have anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and analgesic properties.
Very good for you. Very, very good for you.
So that's
no, you've got African. That's the poisonous one. You don't want those ones. Put French in the end. No. It still comes up with them. No, they're all African. Really don't want to eat those. They're not good for you. Slugs love them.
And then finally, basil. So basil is a Mediterranean herb that can be both an annual or a perennial. Basils need lots of sun and grown in soil that has plenty of drainage. It's very important not to overwater basil as it can develop fungal diseases very easily, and also try to avoid wetting the leaves. I've made this mistake. Mine got very mouldy and died off, unfortunately. But you live and learn.
Yeah, it's all a learning curve for everybody.
And basil helps to strengthen the digestive and nervous systems, as well as being a good remedy for headaches and insomnia.
And this year I'm growing basil, but I'm growing two types. I'm growing the Greek small leaf basil, which is nice in salads. And the other one I'm going to grow is the giant, it's called mammoth basil leaf. which is the leaves are huge, bigger than the ones that you see in the supermarkets. These leaves are very, very large, and I can't wait to grow those so I can have it with my tomatoes. I just need to get a water buffalo so I can make mozzarella.
Boudica says that basil is her kryptonite. I can't grow it to save my life.
Yeah, Boudica, try the Greek, the small leafed Greek basil. That is so easy, and it grows. When it grows and it matures, it looks very much like a little box tree. Yeah, that's it. Or very much like thyme is another variety. It looks like, but it's very nice. It's so easy, so easy. You can't go wrong with Greek basil. It's great in cooking.
Jordan says, I have never had much luck with basil. I love the damn thing, but it dies on me.
Again, Greek basil. It won't die on you. It's so easy. You've got a hell of a job to kill it, and it's so easy. It's so prolific when it starts growing. And see those little balls that they've got on there? That's probably from one seed. So when you're growing it, you literally only want one seed per module.
I think I've come across. Yeah, there's one called British basil as well. I'm getting experience with that.
Last name isn't Brush, is it?
No. There you go.
Oh, never heard of it. British basil. Oh, it's from the Chiltern Seeds.
Yep. That's where I saw it.
It's a new one on me.
Cockney Nutjob says, oh, wrong one. It skipped. Tarragon is a great herb. Must try to grow sometime.
Yeah, tarragon is nice.
Not grow some again.
Yeah, it's nice. Very nice. All herbs are great. They've all got a lot of properties, the herbs. And it can make your meals taste so much nicer.
Roy said, "Good evening, worm botherers."
Only the ones that dig. The ones that don't do the no dig policy, they're okay, are they with you?
Good evening, Roy. Old Mother Earth, Basil Fawlty.
Cockney nut job. Yeah, you're right. That is the best. It's heaven. It is absolute heaven. It's one of my favourites.
Basil, mozzarella, and tomatoes.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite summer dishes. I can sit there and I can eat like a massive plate of the stuff. And yeah, you can do the fancy way of laying it on top of each other. Yeah, I sometimes do that for show. If I have guests, but if it's for me, it's all chunky and lumpy and with a bit of juices and a bit more, a little bit of sea salt and a bit of olive oil, and all mixed up in a big bowl, and just spoon it in.
So Boudica has said, I also have a tendency to kill lavender, which is weird to me.
Lavender. Well, it's a Mediterranean plant, so it likes it on the dry side. And depending what lavender varieties you're growing, there might be a better one suited for your ground. There's lots and lots and lots of different varieties. It's worth going and having a look. Or have a look what's growing in somebody else's garden. If they've got a good one, go and take a cutting.
I'm just going to post the Discord link in the chat for everybody. So if anyone's got any other questions, we'll happily take them.
Yeah.
What about jobs for the next fortnight in the garden?
Well, now spring has officially sprung by tomorrow. We should be. Well, this is in my area. This is obviously Wiltshire in the southwest. We are not seeing any more frosts. Fingers crossed, touch wood. And we can start now planting stuff out. So it's whatever you had prepared ready to go into the ground, you can start thinking about laying out or having that ground preparation ready for anything you've got to be planted. What's that? No. So yeah, you can start thinking about putting your runner beans out if you haven't got them started, get them started. Get your French beans going. Any of your beans, any of your you might be risking it a little bit with salad like lettuces and things like that, but you might be able to get away with them if you've got cloches to put over them just temporarily. Just to see you through to the end of the month, and then I think by the middle of this month, I think we should be clear and dry by now. Yeah, just it's make sure you've got your ground preparation done, so you can start thinking about what you're going to put in there. And obviously, if you've put something like beans in there the last year, don't put beans and peas in the same spot. Find a different spot in the garden, somewhere else, and then carry on. Oh, that's cruel. Cockney nut job.
Old Mother Earth has asked, I will be moving house in late summer. When can I start planting?
Late summer. So if you're you can start planting all your stuff up now. I mean, your salad stuff. You can get that into your ground and start eating that now. Start growing it now. As long as you've got cloches or some sort of protection, just in case. And keep an eye on the weather patterns because it's all over the place at the moment. Have a go at just the salads like radishes and quick growing crops. Obviously, you wouldn't want to be growing anything that's going to take you way over to the next season. And when you get to new property, think about what you're going to do. If it's late summer, then you think about what your winter crops could go in then. So you can have all your brassicas and you can even start doing carrots again, beetroot as well. That can still go in. So you can think about the things that might carry you through to the following year. You can still go late summer. You can still do another crop of potatoes in there. There's quite a few still quite a few things that you can do in late summer. There's still quite a lot of things you can do in late summer still. If that's any help.
Xanth has asked, Endive, Chilton says blanch a few days prior to harvest. Blanching takes 3 weeks in summer, 5 in winter. What sort of blanch is this?
Well, the only blanching I can think is to dip it into warm or hot water, but I can't think of blanching any other way of what they actually mean by that. It's because they can be a bit bitter. I think that's what they're trying to get at. They can be a slight bitterness, so you could cut it off at the base and let it sit in water for a day or so. I'm not sure exactly what they mean by that.
Yeah, this is something that I've come across before, but I haven't looked into it yet. Jordan has said,
that's,
isn't it when
no,
oh,
that's called forcing. So like you do that with rhubarb and things like that. But I suppose it might be that that's what they're talking about. I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about there.
so what are your plans for the garden in the next couple of weeks?
My garden plans are hopefully I'm going to keep an eye on the weather. My next lot will be to put in the special Swiss sweet corn that I've got. I'm really looking forward to that. Really, really looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to this unusual broccoli that I've got. So that's, and I've looked at it and I've seen it online. And it does grow to quite a large size. So I've got endless amounts of this stuff, and I've been giving it away because I've pricked it all out, and I'm thinking I still got far too much in there. I still got to keep giving it away. So it's like, so that's the next one of the things I'm going to be planting in. I've already planted one lot of Lascaria. I've got another lot to plant in. So again, it was one of those edge my bets. I'll keep half in, put half out, see what happens. So the first half has not been touched by those light frosts that we had. So I'm going to put the rest of those in. I've got runner beans to put in. They're already out of the pot about nearly a foot or more tall, and they're starting to wrap themselves around each other. So they've got to go into the ground in the next few days. I'm also looking into putting in my blue pumpkins into the ground somewhere. I've still got loads more potatoes to put into the ground. I came across a lovely variety called Saxon. So I managed to get some of that. So I'm going to put them in soon, and I promise I will get the box ones done. But I'll do those with an early variety of potatoes. So if it does fail, which I think it will, it's not going to be too much of an issue. I think it's just going to end up with a decayed box and a lump of soil in the middle. I think that's what it's going to end up looking like. What else am I going to put in? I've put in a row of the Greek basil. That went in the other day. I'm looking at putting in giant Swiss chard. I've got leeks to put in. I've got spring onions to put in. I've got not radishes. I've got cabbages, cauliflower, normal cauliflowers, and cauliflower mix, which is going to be all sorts of. I don't know. I think it's going to be a real random mix of different types of cauliflowers. And I think that'll do for the moment because I've still got so much more other things I need to start growing as well for later on. So as soon as those are out of the pots, they're cleaned, ready for the next lot of stuff to go in.
Keep you busy then.
Oh yeah, very busy. And again, it's one of those things. If I've got too many, I share them out. I share them out to as many people as I possibly can.
Boudica says she's planting wheat this afternoon.
Oh, nice. Are you got a large area of that Boudica? Is it going to be a big square patch? Because that'd be interesting to see if you're going to do a large area of that and see what you get. Not super big, no. Oh, it's a start. It's a start. It's not a problem. But you must watch out for you get that rot on your wheat heads, which is called argot. You must be careful of that because that's hallucinogenic, and it can also be very damaging if a lady's pregnant. It can abort the fetus, so that is something to be aware of. Argot is what they made LSD out of.
Right. So, is there any last questions before we wrap up?
No, who's got any last questions? What is anyone else in the chat going to be planting this this following few days? Anybody be planting anything interesting, anything unusual? There's anybody? Oh, carrots, cool, yeah, brilliant. No, you shouldn't take LSD when you're pregnant. No.
Chilies.
Chili's nice. Kale, nice, cool. That's another one I've got to look forward to put out yet.
Pinching cuttings of elderberries.
Nice, nice. Yeah, elderberries are very easy to take as a cutting. You know, if you go along the hedgerow, you can find them growing as little seedlings. Pak choy.
Sir Francis said that I'm still battling bamboo roots, closing in on victory.
Yay.
Good luck.
If you're not going to grow anything there, don't forget you can use salt. It will kill them. Pak choy, I like pak choy. More kale, yeah. Get the kale in. It's good. It's got full of iron. It's good for you.
Oh, that jumped. Cockney nut job, herbs, beans, lettuce, and onions.
Good.
Xanth's got some more kale seeds put in.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's what we like to hear. Seems everybody likes a bit of kale.
Right then, so if there's no more questions, I think we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. Kale is a superfood, yes, you're right.
Kale chips. I've not heard of that.
No, kale chips. I've heard of, again, like I've said about the dipping them in the batter and quickly frying them in it. I've heard of doing that, but I've never heard of chips.
Deconstructor said even though kale used to be considered horse fodder.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. There's a lot of things that used to be considered as animal feed, and we eat now.
Right then, so thanks everybody for tuning in. So with that, good night. We'll see you in 2 weeks, so that'll be the 20th.
Yeah, good night, everyone. And I will be on Discord for a short period this evening after the show if anybody wants to ask me any other questions. You can pick my brains offline.
All right, so good night.
Good night, all.